I never expected to find myself here, fighting against a system I once trusted. But after uncovering the truth, I have no choice but to expose the restaurant's darkest secrets. They thought I wouldn't speak up. They were wrong. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about justice, and I'll risk everything to make them pay for what they've done. Before we dive into this powerful story, let us know where you're tuning in from, and if you find it compelling, don't forget to hit subscribe. I never imagined a simple dinner reservation could change my life. It was supposed to be just another night out, me and my friends, dining at Lum Zone, one of LA's most exclusive spots. I'd been to plenty of high-end restaurants before, but this one was special. Not because of the Michelin stars or the celebrity buzz, but because of the reputation. Lum Zone prided itself on being the pinnacle of luxury. No exceptions. No compromises. The night started like any other. I had my reservation, made weeks in advance. We were excited. It was a chance to unwind, enjoy good food, and catch up. I don't get many of those moments, so when I do, I relish them. We pulled up in the black SUV, the valet opening the door with a practiced smile, and I felt that familiar buzz of energy that accompanies entering a place like this: flashy lights, sleek architecture, the promise of elegance. But something was off from the moment I stepped through the door. The hostess behind the podium barely glanced up when we walked in. It wasn't the usual warm greeting. I wasn't expecting a red carpet, but this felt colder than it should have been. My group and I exchanged awkward glances. "Reservation for Michael B. Jordan?" I said, keeping my tone calm. The hostess typed something into the system. Her fingers hovered over the screen, then paused. Silence stretched between us for a moment too long. "I'm sorry, sir, I don't see a reservation under that name," she said flatly. I felt my stomach tighten. My team had made the reservation. I pulled out my phone and showed her the confirmation email. She barely glanced at it before turning back to the screen, her fingers tapping away again. "I'm sorry, but it's not showing up," she repeated. She looked me up and down before adding, "Are you sure you're on the list?" A knot formed in my chest. Something in her voice, in the way she said, "Are you sure," didn't sit right. I wasn't used to this. I'd been to dozens of exclusive spots before, and this never happened. Not to me, not when I had a confirmed booking. I was Michael B. Jordan. I didn't get turned away. I tried to remain calm, but my pulse quickened. "Look, I'm Michael B. Jordan. I have a reservation. Please check again. I'm not going anywhere." She didn't flinch. Her expression remained unchanged, impassive. She wasn't going to back down. For a brief second, I wondered if I was imagining this. Maybe it was a mistake, right? But then, I noticed the side glances from the staff nearby, the hesitation in their eyes. They were watching. Waiting. "I'm going to need to check with the manager," she finally said, her tone a little too dismissive. I nodded, trying to hide the anger rising in me. What kind of place was this? As she walked away, I exchanged glances with my friends. They were confused, like I was. One of them, a longtime pal, whispered, "Is this really happening? Are we being punked?" I wished it were a joke. But I knew better. A few minutes passed before the manager appeared. He was well-dressed, slick, the type of guy who could sell you a lifestyle in 3 seconds flat. He looked at the screen and back at me, then smiled like he was doing me a favor. "We're all booked up tonight," he said. "Sorry, but we won't be able to accommodate you." I stared at him, trying to piece it all together. I had reservations. I was Michael B. Jordan. I wasn't used to being turned away, not even at a restaurant as elite as this one. The confusion started to shift into something else, something more dangerous. I felt it then, the weight of exclusion, of being judged not by who I was, but by what they thought I was. I stand there, feeling the weight of the moment settle on my shoulders like a heavy coat. The manager, this slick-haired guy with his perfectly pressed suit, gives me the same line he just gave my friends: "We're full tonight. Sorry, but we can't accommodate you." I try to keep my voice steady, but there's something boiling inside me. Frustration. Confusion. I push my hands into my pockets to keep them from shaking. I'm Michael B. Jordan. Why the hell is this happening? I glance around the restaurant, my eyes scanning the room. Tables, occupied with guests who clearly didn't need a reservation to get in. I can't help but notice that none of them seem to look like me. A group of white patrons stroll in, laughing, and they're seated right away, no questions asked. The room buzzes with laughter and clinking glasses, but there's a tightness in the air I can't ignore. "I'm sorry," the manager repeats, eyes darting to the computer screen as if the answer is somehow different this time. "Maybe you should check with your booking service or—" I interrupt him, my tone sharp. "No, I don't think you understand. I made the reservation, weeks ago. It's confirmed. Check again." My voice cracks a little, a mix of disbelief and anger bleeding through. The manager shifts uncomfortably. "I understand, but Do you?" I cut him off again, this time feeling the heat rise in my chest. Something's wrong here. Something that's bigger than just a misplaced name. I don't know if it's the way he's looking at me or the fact that he's still standing there, pretending this is just some clerical error. This is more than that. "I'm Michael B. Jordan," I say slowly, enunciating each word, trying to make him understand. "I don't need to explain myself. I want a seat at this table. Now." His eyes flicker to my face, then to the screen, and then, for the briefest moment, he looks away, and in that instant, I see it. The shift in his expression. That brief hesitation. And I know then, for sure, this isn't a mistake. This isn't about a reservation at all. I'm being turned away because of the color of my skin. That's the cold truth I have to face, no matter how uncomfortable it makes me. And something about it feels wrong, on a level I can't easily put into words. I've experienced prejudice before, of course, but this? This is different. This is calculated. This is a system built to exclude people like me. The place has an image to uphold, and I don't fit it. "Maybe we should just go," one of my friends says quietly, clearly uncomfortable now. I can feel the weight of their eyes, their sympathy. It stings, but I can't back down. Not now. I turn to the manager, holding my ground. "No, we're not leaving. Not until I get an answer." He opens his mouth to speak again, but before he can say anything else, I hear the sound of high heels clicking against the floor. A woman, dressed sharply in a black blazer, approaches the scene. She's the hostess supervisor, I realize. And she's not looking at me, she's looking past me, like I'm not even there. Without acknowledging my presence, she steps forward and speaks to the manager in that smooth, rehearsed tone. "Is there an issue?" I can see her scan the room for a moment, looking at the guests seated around us. She's deciding whether or not she wants to be part of this. The manager stutters a response, but I don't hear it. My mind is racing. Why is no one acknowledging this? Why is no one standing up for me? I watch as the manager finally nods, turning back to me with a forced smile. "I'm sorry, sir. We can't accommodate you tonight. We're full." A chill runs down my spine as I realize that's it. There's no explanation coming. No apology. No explanation for why this is happening. They're not interested in helping. They're interested in keeping their image intact. My blood runs cold as I feel the full weight of exclusion settle into my chest. It's not just about the table. It's not about the reservation. This is something deeper, something that's been brewing beneath the surface for years. It's the same feeling I've had in other spaces, places where I'm made to feel like I don't belong. But tonight, it hits different. It's as if, with one look, they've declared that I don't have the right to be here. Not in this world. Not in their world. I feel my stomach tighten, but I don't want to back down. My voice shakes as I ask, "You mean to tell me that, after all this, you're still not going to seat me?" The hostess supervisor glances back at the manager and then at me, a subtle, almost imperceptible flicker in her eyes. But it's enough. The message is clear. I've been shut out. I stand there in the middle of the restaurant, the weight of their rejection sinking deeper into my chest. My friends look uncomfortable, unsure whether to leave or stay. The whispers of other patrons drift through the air, their curiosity palpable as they watch us, me, standing at the heart of this place, now an outsider. I feel a fire building inside me, a need to do something, to make them see me, to make them acknowledge that I'm not just a name on a screen, that I'm not a stereotype to be dismissed. "I can't believe this is happening," my friend Casey mutters beside me, her voice low but sharp. "They can't just treat you like this, Mike. You deserve better." I don't respond right away. There's a tightness in my throat that won't let me speak. I want to lash out, to demand an explanation, but I also know this isn't the place to do it. I'm not sure where to go from here, what the next move is. But something in me can't let it go. I don't care how much they want me to just leave. I'm not going to back down. I'm not invisible. I'm going to make this right, I say finally, my voice quieter now, but resolute. Casey raises an eyebrow, looking at me like I've lost my mind. "Mike, are you sure? This is going way too far. We could just go somewhere else." "No," I snap, shaking my head. "I'm not leaving until they understand exactly who I am and what this means." I turn toward the hostess supervisor again, who has just turned her back to me as if to signal that the conversation is over. But it's not. Not by a long shot. "You," I say, the words harsh and sharp, cutting through the low hum of conversation around us. She freezes, a slight tremble in her shoulders before she slowly turns back to face me. Her expression is still cool, practiced, as if she's used to handling situations like this, situations where people like me start making a scene. "You're going to treat me like this, right? Just sweep me under the rug because I don't fit into your perfect little world?" I take a step closer to her. "You don't get to decide who gets in and who doesn't based on what you think they deserve." The room falls into an uncomfortable silence. The buzz of conversation dies down, and even the staff seems to hold their breath. The hostess supervisor gives me a tight smile, but there's a faint hint of discomfort behind her eyes. "We don't have to do this here, sir," she says, her voice a little too calm, a little too rehearsed. "If you want to resolve this, we can talk outside." I stare at her, a mix of anger and disbelief running through me. How dare she try to make this my problem? How dare she act like I'm the one causing trouble when all I'm doing is demanding respect? But I don't take the bait. I know this isn't just about me. This is about every person who's ever been turned away because they didn't fit into someone else's idea of what's worthy. This isn't just about dinner at an overpriced restaurant. This is about being forced to exist in a world where the doors are closed on you, where no matter how hard you fight, it's never enough. "No," I say, my voice quiet but firm. "I'm not stepping outside. You're going to listen to me. Right here. Right now." She hesitates, her gaze flickering between me and the manager, who's standing awkwardly a few feet away. Finally, she sighs, her shoulders sagging ever so slightly. "Fine," she says, her tone edging toward annoyance. "But don't expect this to go your way." "I'm not here for your approval," I shoot back, my frustration rising once again. "I'm here because you owe me an explanation." For a moment, there's nothing but the faint clink of silverware in the background, the quiet murmur of other patrons as they resume their conversations. But I know they're still watching. And I know that they're waiting for me to back down. But I'm not going to. Not this time. You think you can just ignore me because I'm not what you want to see? I continue, the words pouring out before I can stop them. I'm done with this. Done with pretending that people like me have to settle for being second-class citizens in this world. That we don't deserve to be in spaces like this, in places that were never meant for us. The hostess supervisor's face hardens, but I can see the flicker of something else in her eyes, a recognition, maybe, that she's dealing with more than just a celebrity here. She's dealing with a man who refuses to be silenced. We'll see about that, she mutters, but I catch the edge in her voice, the crack of uncertainty that I've managed to push through. Before I can say anything else, she turns away sharply, disappearing into the back of the restaurant. It feels like the entire restaurant is holding its breath. The air has thickened around me, and the quiet murmur of conversations has faded into a low hum, as if everyone's waiting for me to make the next move. The hostess supervisor is gone, and for a brief moment, I'm left standing there in the center of the room, the target of everyone's curious stares. I can hear Casey beside me, her voice low, trying to reason with me. Mike, maybe we should just go. They don't want us here. Let's just find another place. But I don't want to go. I can't. Not when something inside me is telling me that this moment means more than just a bad night out. This is about showing up for myself, for everyone who's ever been excluded, for all the times the door was shut simply because of the way I look. No, Casey, I say, my voice steady but forceful. I'm not leaving until they understand exactly what they've done. I'm done being polite. Done with tiptoeing around the issue. I'm ready to face whatever comes next, ready to make them see that this isn't just about me. It's about what's been happening for years. The subtle discrimination, the quiet exclusion. The way people like me are pushed to the sidelines, expected to just sit back and accept it. I pull my phone out of my pocket and dial my manager's number, my hand steady even though I can feel my heart pounding in my chest. I know that this is risky. Hell, it could even make things worse. But I can't just let it slide. I need action. I need someone in my corner who has the power to make things right. Hey, Mike, my manager answers, sounding calm, almost too calm. What's going on? I try to keep my voice from shaking as I tell him what's happening, the refusal to seat me, the tension in the air, the uncomfortable feeling of being the only one who's being treated this way. As I speak, I can feel a knot forming in my stomach. This is more than just a restaurant problem. This is a society problem. This is bigger than one incident, and I realize that I've been blind to it all this time. I'm sorry, Mike, my manager says after a pause. But I don't think I can do much about this. It's a private business. They have their policies. We can't force them to accommodate you. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear the excuses. He's a good guy, but I can feel the boundaries closing in. Everyone's too quick to back off when it gets tough, too willing to let these things slide. No one wants to get involved. But I do. I hang up without saying goodbye, my frustration flaring up again. I clench my fists, feeling the weight of the moment press in on me, but something shifts inside me. It's like a switch flips. If no one else is going to take action, then I'll be the one to do it. I turn to my friends, who are still standing awkwardly off to the side, their faces a mix of sympathy and unease. I can feel their concern, but I know they're waiting for me to lead them through this. They want me to make the decision. You know what? I say, taking a deep breath. Forget the reservation. Forget the manager. I'm going to go straight to the top. Casey raises an eyebrow. What do you mean, the top? I mean the owner. The one who runs this place. I'm going to find out who's responsible for this and make sure they know that this kind of behavior won't stand. If they want to keep their restaurant open, they have to deal with the reality of who they're turning away. I walk toward the back of the restaurant, my friends trailing behind me. As I approach the staff-only area, I see the manager and hostess supervisor talking in hushed tones. But I don't care. I'm not backing down now. Not for anyone. I approach them with a firm, unwavering step. The manager looks up, his face tight with worry. He knows what's coming, and for the first time tonight, I see a flicker of regret in his eyes. I want to speak to the owner, I say firmly, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. Now. The manager hesitates, his eyes flicking nervously to the hostess supervisor, who stands a few feet away, arms crossed. She's watching me, her gaze cool, but I can sense the tension in her posture, like she's trying to assess how much trouble I'm about to cause. I don't think that's necessary, the manager says, but I'm not having it. No, I say, my voice cutting through the air. It is necessary. You don't get to treat people like this. And you definitely don't get to treat me like this. I'm done with this. The hostess supervisor sighs and steps forward, eyes narrowing as she evaluates me. You don't know who you're dealing with, she says, her voice a little too sharp, a little too dismissive. I can feel my anger building, but I force myself to remain calm. You're right, I reply coolly. I don't. But I'm about to find out. And when I do, I'll make sure this place never forgets me. The manager looks between us, his face red with embarrassment and tension. I'll get the owner, he mutters, retreating to the back. I stand there, arms crossed, heart pounding in my chest, knowing that this moment is my turning point. If they want to treat me like I don't belong, they're about to get a wake-up call. The minutes stretch on like hours. The tension in the back room is palpable. I'm standing by the kitchen, leaning against the cool tile wall, my friends huddled nervously behind me. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not backing down. This is bigger than me, bigger than this one night. It's about respect. It's about the principle that people like me deserve to be treated with dignity and equality, no matter where we go. Casey's voice breaks through my thoughts. Mike, are you sure about this? They might just throw us out, you know. Maybe we should just go home. We can make dinner plans somewhere else. I shake my head. No, Casey. I'm not running away this time. I want them to know exactly why I'm standing here. I want them to hear it from me, not just from the manager or the staff. She looks at me, a mixture of worry and admiration in her eyes. She knows I'm right, but she's scared too. She's scared for me, for what's going to happen next. I can feel her unease, but I can't let it sway me. The manager reappears after what feels like an eternity. He's walking toward us with a sense of urgency, his face pale and drawn. Behind him, I see a tall man in a crisp suit, his posture straight and rigid, exuding authority. The owner. I know it's him even before he speaks. There's something in his aura that says he's the one with the power to end this. He stops in front of me, looking me up and down with an appraising glance. There's a thin line of disinterest in his eyes, but there's something else there too. Something that tells me he knows this isn't just a petty complaint. Sir, he begins, his voice smooth but with an edge of authority. I'm Peter Haynes. I understand you're having a problem with our staff. I don't beat around the bush. Yes, I am. I was discriminated against. I was treated like I didn't belong here, like I wasn't even worthy of a table. And that's unacceptable. His eyes flicker with something, surprise? Embarrassment? It's hard to tell. But whatever it is, it doesn't last long. He quickly masks it with a polite smile, his voice shifting to a more professional tone. Let's not jump to conclusions, he says, his voice now more measured, less warm. I'm sure there's been some sort of misunderstanding. We pride ourselves on providing excellent service to all our guests. I take a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. I can feel the anger rising inside me, but I know I have to stay calm. I need to make him understand, not just accuse him. I'm not here for excuses, I reply, my voice firm but controlled. I've been coming to this restaurant for months now. I've never once been treated like this. Never once felt like I was less than. But tonight, I was treated like I wasn't even worth a meal. That's not a misunderstanding. It's discrimination. The owner's smile falters slightly, and I see the first real sign of discomfort in him. He glances over at the manager, who looks even more uncomfortable than before. There's an unspoken exchange between them, a silent calculation happening in the room. I see, Peter Haynes finally says, his tone still polite but tinged with impatience. But I assure you, we don't tolerate discrimination here. If our staff acted improperly, we'll look into it and take the necessary steps. However, I do think you're exaggerating the situation. The words hit me like a slap. My blood boils at his dismissal, at how he's trying to downplay what's happened. It's the same old story, people like me are always exaggerating. Always making a mountain out of a molehill. Always told to calm down, to just let it go. I'm not exaggerating, I say, my voice rising despite myself. I'm telling you what happened. I've been treated differently for no reason other than who I am. And I'm not just going to let it slide. Not this time. The room falls silent for a moment. The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife. The owner's gaze hardens as he looks at me, and for the first time, I can see that he's not sure how to handle this. He's used to people bowing down when he speaks, used to the power he holds, but here, standing in front of me, he's not sure what to do. I understand your frustration, he says finally, his voice lower now, more contemplative. But we have policies in place to ensure fairness to all of our customers. If you feel that our actions have been inappropriate, I encourage you to file a formal complaint. However, this is a private establishment, and we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. I feel my heart sink in my chest, the cold truth settling in. This isn't about me being right. This isn't about him seeing me. This is about power, and he's not about to back down just because I'm upset. But I'm not done. Not yet. I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of what I'm about to say. I don't need to file a complaint, I say, my voice steady. I need you to look at the bigger picture. This isn't just about tonight. This is about the way people like me are treated every day. The way we're always just too much or not enough. The way we're pushed aside. I won't let you off the hook by filing a complaint. I'm here because I demand respect. There's a long silence, and for a moment, I wonder if I've said the wrong thing. But then, to my surprise, the owner nods. It's not a sign of agreement, but it's something. A flicker of acknowledgement, like he's seeing me as more than just a customer, more than just a face in the crowd. You've made your point, he says, his voice softening just a bit. And I'll take it into consideration. We'll review the situation and take steps to ensure this doesn't happen again. For a second, I'm stunned. He's actually listening. Maybe not in the way I wanted, but he's hearing me. It's a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Thank you, I reply, though the words feel hollow. I know this isn't the end, but it's a step in the right direction. A small one. I turn to leave, my friends following close behind, but as I step out of the back room, I can't shake the feeling that I've just touched the surface of something much bigger. The road ahead is long, and I don't know where it will lead. But I do know one thing for sure, I'm not going to stop fighting.